basically. But I pulled this one off just one of your neighbors, and this is a Fireblight. It's a bacteria that actually infects the tree and causes this tip dieback. Now, actually, the limbs, the even larger limbs, can also be damaged by Fireblight. So, in time, it can actually do a lot of damage to the tree and make it so ugly that you want to go ahead and remove the whole tree.
So, if this happens to one of our trees, can we still eat these pears, or can we still eat the apples that it affects?
Mostly, like I said, mostly these are ornamental pears. The Bradford pear is the pear with the white blooms in the spring, and then they have these nice shiny leaves during the summer, and then they'll have kind of a fall color. So, they're a nice ornamental tree. But yeah, you can still, the trees, the edible pears and edible apples, you can still produce a crop from it. But anytime you have foliage, it's damaged or significant loss of foliage over time, that reduces the crop overall too. So it could be a serious disease if you're an apple orchard grower or a pear orchard grower too.
Is this the time of year when we start to see this more?
Yeah, you'll start seeing it early in the spring. The disease can overwinter on the trunk of the tree. But in some springs, it'll actually be insects will spread it, or even hard driving rains and thunderstorms early in the spring will actually spread the bacteria to the flower tips, or insects will spread it to the flower tips, and that's why you'll see this brown on the first few inches. It'll even kill, eventually the limb could even kill, the whole thing could die just from the bacteria.
Oh, wow.
So the main thing that you need to know is sanitation. Sanitation is the best way to control cancer.
Sanitation.
That's exactly right. Because you can go in there, you can actually come below this. The bacteria would be in this limb even where you don't see it. So I would come down all the way to real healthy wood and cut there.
Oh, wow.
And then remove that from the area so that bacteria wouldn't be there to overwhelm spreading.
So how long do you think? I mean, that's maybe almost a foot?
Oh, sure.
The
bacteria could, I would always try to go down to, if there's another limb, another cross branch, I would go all the way back to that healthy cross branch and take this whole limb off. Because some of these limbs could be very large. I mean, it could be, it could be a limb this large around.
Wow.
And basically, that whole thing could die, so you need to take a long ways back.
So is this what we're using for it?
Yeah, you can use a pruning saw like this.
Take care of that.
Sure. Sometimes, when you go ahead and you prune them, you just cut down below it. If this was pretend this was a branch, I would cut all the way back here and give me a nice clean cut. If I can get it there. Whoop, I missed it.
I'm glad you're doing that, not me.
And that way, basically, I'm sanitizing that, and then I can also, so I don't spread the disease, in case I didn't cut back far enough, I would mix a 10% bleach solution. Meaning I'd put 9 parts water, 1 part bleach,
right.
And I would either dip my pruners into that, or I would spritz them with a sprayer if I was using a saw, or if it's way up in the tree, you're going to need a pruning saw, or a pruning saw or a pair of loppers that actually will prune it, from a distance. So you'd have to actually get that down, after you make a cut. Every time you make a cut, sanitize that and then make another cut.
That's a good
Because
point.
what you don't want to do is spread it when you're actually trying to cure it.
And they're wrapping us up, but once you do this, does that make sure that it doesn't come back, or do you have to keep monitoring?
You're always going to have to, remember it is cyclical. Some years is worse than others. You can also use a bactericide called streptomycin to help control it. It won't really cure it, but it helps control it. So there's several things you can do, but sanitation is really the key. And remember, you won't see it year after year. It'll be a period of years, and then it may be reduced for a while.
Great points. Sanitation is key. That's your takeaway point. Well, thank you so much. It was great to have you on the show.